There are no mountains here.
Welcome to...
There is no sea or beach with sand between your toes. Yet, over 640,000 people live here. Why? Because of an idea of freedom. This is Oklahoma, and you are watching Chefs and Realtors.
Brought to you by the dedicated staff at the Oklahoma City Real Estate Show.
Welcome to what is now known as Oklahoma's finest historic district. Welcome to Heritage Hills. 1415 North Hudson Boulevard, where Gothic renovation meets Tudor in its finest. Look at this. It's almost breathtaking. The unbelievable...
Micah Sims is the listing agent. She's also one of the #1 selling realtors at Metro First Realty in Oklahoma City.
Inspiration for all of the chandeliers and all of the gold embossed walls. Everything is so magical. Nothing's left unimagined. In the sunlight, this twinkles like a diamond. And welcome to my favorite room, where I would love to have breakfast with Alice in Wonderland and meet our fabulous executive Oklahoma chef for the most delectable dessert you have ever had, Nathan Frejo.
Nathan Frejo, one of the executive chefs in the Boathouse District of Oklahoma.
All right, guys. So today, to match this beautiful Tudor house we're in, also to match the wine cellar, we're gonna do a Tudor handmade cheesecake tart. It's popular in the time of Henry the VIII. The story actually goes that he was walking through his courtyard with his first wife, saw a group of her handmaidens, and one of them happened to be Anne Boleyn, his second wife.
That looks good to me.
And they gave him the tart, and he loved it so much that it became a fixture at his entertainment and dinner parties. So what I'm doing, I'm gonna take a little butter and grease these muffin tins. You can use any kind of tin you have. You could even make a larger tart out of a pie if you'd like. We're just gonna do small tartlets because they're meant to be eaten with your hands with a glass of wine. So I'm buttering those up. Next up, I'm going to take some puff pastry. I have some pre-cut just to aid in speed a little bit. And I like to do just a little rough hand stretch for a tart. You're going to press it down into your muffin tin. I probably will stretch those out just a little bit more. The idea of this recipe, though, is that it is a precursor to the American cheesecake. We're gonna have all the delicious concepts of a cheesecake, the creaminess, the eggs, your nice crispy puff pastry crust here. But to mimic the cheese curds they would have used back then, we're gonna use cottage cheese. It's been drained. I squeezed it with a cheesecloth a little bit, take out some of that extra moisture, so we'll get that nice creamy cheesecake filling. You just wanna make sure you don't go all the way through that crust. If you see a hole, you can always patch it a little bit, but it'll stick to your muffin tin if you go all the way through. We'll keep pushing those down. I've got one last pre-cut one. So here, I've got 110 grams of cottage cheese that's been squeezed, or it's roughly 2/3 of a cup. And then to that, I'm gonna add 2 eggs that we're gonna beat. And then you just beat the eggs. They don't have to be frothy. Just get them incorporated. We're gonna add some soft brown sugar. This is probably about 1/2 cup. Not tightly packed, but not loosely packed. You wanna kind of break that up as you're adding it. And then to that, we're also gonna add our almond paste. You can also use almond flour. I like the paste because it has a little more of the sweetness from the nut in it. And you just wanna kind of break that up because we're gonna mix all that around. I'm using lemon extract. Back in Henry the VIII's time, they would have used rose water or orange water. Orange blossom water, pardon me. We're gonna add a tablespoon of lemon. And this is Argentine lemon, so it's sweeter. Using your hands, as Julia Child used to say, you're in the kitchen by yourself, who's gonna know, right? So I'll mix that around. I might actually switch back over to my whisk for that, just to get it really nicely broken up. What we want to do is make sure it's nice and mixed, and then we will go ahead and fill our tartlets with the mixture. You only want to go up about 3/4 of the way, because that will rise a little bit with the egg. Filled that one just a little bit more. Then, after we have them filled, we'll go into an oven that we set to 450 degrees. Whether it's convection or traditional oven that you have in your house, this one happens to be a convection. So we'll go in the oven, you're gonna go on the center rack, and you put it in the oven for 20 minutes. Alright guys, so we've had our tartlets in the oven at 450 degrees for 20 minutes. We're going to pull them out. And you see how they've risen. Like I said, it's not as important for them to be completely incorporated. And we're going to break some out of here. Should lift right out because we buttered that pan. We're going to give them a light dusting with some powdered sugar. You can do it with a sifter if you like. I just like to sprinkle because I like a lot of sugar on my sweet stuff. All right. Then give one to my friend Marcus over here so you can have a taste. It's a little hot, so be careful.
Delicious.
Thank you.
What's in it?
So I've got cottage cheese. It's a Tudor tartlet, so it's made in the style of Henry the VIII in the Tudor era. So I use cottage cheese to simulate cheese curds, lemon extract, brown sugar, eggs, almond paste. And then we baked all that, and I put the cream with puff pastry, and then put the powdered sugar on top after we pulled it out of the oven.
Delicious, man.
Thank you.
Really good.
This is MK Bites. He's a master barber and also runs a YouTube channel that's the #1 taste testing channel in the entire state.
Hello everyone, good to be with you. So I'm Doug Beal.
This is Dr. Douglas P. Beal. He's known around the world for his miraculous life-saving work on the human spine.
I live in 1415 North Hudson, and I've been in Heritage Hills since 2002 when I moved from San Antonio. Fantastic old neighborhood, and when we first moved in, there was hardly any action around here, not very much development, and the neighborhood was just coming out of the doldrums of decline. And we moved in 610 Northwest 14th, and we moved to this house in 2011. So where we are is on the southwest corner of 14th and Hudson, and this house is a half-timbered English Tudor. It's built in the Elizabethan style. It was built by a guy named Ed Cook. And so he built this house based on plans that he found out back east. There's identical plans. There's actually an identical house, an exact replica of this house. I don't mean similar, I mean the same house outside of Philadelphia in a place called Marion, Pennsylvania. So it's just right close to the train station. And I've been in contact with the owner, been out there a few times, haven't managed to maintain and gain contact to tour the house, but that's one of my future goals. That's on my bucket list of things to do. This house is roughly about 10,000 square feet, and it was built in 1905, and then Edward Cook stayed in that house till it was sold to Frank Wilson in 1946. Then he stayed in that house until his death, and up until that time there was some turmoil in the neighborhood.
The turmoil was the 1960s, and progression had threatened to level Heritage Hills.
30 rooms, and its solid walnut woodwork that gleamed like a mirror with 22 hand-rubbed coats of oil. They say that fresh flowers were always around and that it took a staff of 5 to 8 servants to maintain it. But the Concord House is just a memory. Its red stone walls and its white columns and its leaded windows have been sacrificed to a thing that we call progress. And the former inhabitants of this building are now homeless. And gone with the Concord House are many other historically and architecturally significant homes.
In the days that this was constructed, there were craftsmen that plied their trades. The brick masons took real interest in the way they were laying up the brick. There were sculptors involved, and it's the smaller details that really make these old homes great. Today, the average individual is just not able to afford to pay for the time that it would take to do some of these things that were done in these homes down here.
But the beauty and the history of this area cannot be maintained without protection from commercial encroachment, from the wreckers' hammers, and from the blight of decay. The young families who have moved in here are trying, but it is up to all of us to assist them in assuring that this area will continue to be preserved with pride.
And in 1969, it was achieved. The Historic Preservation Incorporation, a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation, founded the board of directors, and they still meet every month to keep Heritage Hills a historic preservation.
HP number 1 and 2 are this house and the house across the street, the Hampton house now. And then we bought the house in 2011 and have lived here since. So it's been 10 years. We live here with my wife and 3 kids and whatever stray family come in, which is very frequently. So this is, it's been a real pleasure to be here. It's always been a pleasure to be in the neighborhood. And we're selling the house now, but we're not leaving. I have a house 2 doors down where my brother lives. Currently, he's caretaking the house at 1521 Hudson. So once you live on Hudson, you can never leave. And appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the history of the house, and it's great to be with you.